Hey, Cap, wearing a cap.
Morning, John.
So are you watching the PGA Championship? You look like you're about to go out and play a quick nine or something. So are you gearing up for your day? Is that how this is playing out?
I did not have time to take a shower yet this morning, so I was like, let me stick a hat on for this call. That's the honest answer. I am supposed to play golf today, John, but the weather gods are not quite cooperating. So we'll see.
That's just not nice. That's not nice at all. Why are they not cooperating? Do they not understand the value of going out and playing a round of golf?
And it's a matchup today, John. This isn't just me going out and goofing around. This is a 2-on-2 matchup.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
So are we allowed to say what this matchup allegedly is all about? Is it
It's part of like a club tournament. It's kind of like throughout the year. It's a 2v2 type thing. You kind of win, you keep moving on. So we won
okay?
our first round matchup. This is supposed to be our second round.
Okay. So,
But
so
the rain does not help me, John, because I'm not a long hitter. So when my ball hits the fairway and goes bloop,
uh-huh.
and I don't get a roll, I'm usually having to hit a very long second shot.
Okay. How are you with your long iron / hybrids, sir?
I prefer a shorter iron.
Oh, I'm right there with you. I'm just asking because if you get no roll, then you're going to be using hybrids and like
Yeah.
5 woods and things like that. And I'm right
Yeah.
there with you, brother.
Yep. It's not ideal, but
No,
hey, any golf is better than no golf, so I'll take it.
absolutely true. What I wanted to start off this morning with, and since we're on golf, I'll go ahead and get this one out of the way. Bart is asking, what's your best round of golf, and how do you think you do in handcuffs?
That would be a struggle. I think it might help my putting game or something. I don't know. Keep the wrist nice and steady or something.
Keep the
Yeah.
wrists right there. Yeah.
Best round I think is like an 84.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So that would be awesome today. But yeah, I haven't read the news much. I saw Scheffler in handcuffs quickly this morning. I was taking the dog out, and I was like, "Oh, this is interesting."
Uh-huh. Yes,
But
that is absolutely true.
I don't know if that's on topic. So
Yes, but there will be there have been and will be more billable hours involving his arrest and now appearance at Valhalla in Louisville. What I wanted to start off with you this morning, other than sharing golf stories, is about handling adversity. And I want to talk about it in the idea, first off, of an adult handling adversity, and then from a mentoring perspective, handling adversity and trying not to let it be quicksand, for lack of a better phrase. When you have been when you were a professional athlete with clubs in leagues and you hit a rough patch, I guess, well, you can share secrets if you want, but how do you keep it from turning into quicksand as an athlete, and how difficult is that to keep it from being something that just turns into something that cycles and cycles and cycles? And how do you try and stop it and not let it to just overcome you, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at as an athlete.
yeah, it's really, really difficult. Because I think every team has gone through periods like that, and I don't think there's one easy solution. Honestly, because I take my last year in Columbus, we had won the Cup the year before, and brought back basically the same team, if not even a little bit better, and we were in a year-long struggle. It's like we just couldn't get results, and the whole time we're like, "Oh, it'll turn, it'll turn, it'll turn," And so it's just a fine line between being patient and really needing to step on the gas and change things, and you know freak out because hey, we're running out of time here. I always leaned more towards the patience and just my personality. Like, hey, just keep doing what we're doing. The ship will right itself. But, in that sense, it was nice to have different personalities in the locker room, like Joseph, for example, who was the exact opposite. It was like, well, it needs to change now. It needs to change yesterday, type mentality. So, yeah, I think that it's a real challenge though, because as a coach, it's like, do you push harder and harder and harder? Do you get away from the game? Take a day off and just like, hey guys, get away from soccer. Because I think the easy answer is, oh, just work harder, just work harder, just work harder. But that's not always the best case. I think that sometimes you can just, like you said, get in your own head, and then it's like, sometimes the best thing is just to get away from it for a little bit.
Yeah, because if you're working harder and harder and harder and you still don't see the results, you push the idea of getting into that cycle and being deeper and deeper and deeper, or you just get to a point where you're just like, well, F it, this isn't working. And then the whole house of cards can fall down. I mean, it seems to me from an athletic perspective, a very delicate balance because of all the different personalities, and then if you try something and it doesn't work, well, then you're like, well, damn, I'm never going to try that again because it didn't work. And we haven't seen any fruits from any of the labor.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And the only thing that I have seen that really destroys a team, it prevents them from turning the corner, is if they just go their separate ways, right? Some guys check out, some guys point fingers, you just get, pissed off at each other. And, it's one thing if they're all pissed at the coach, right? And you rally around each other, and that's the case. I've had that in my career. But it's another thing if it's within the locker room and there's divisions within the locker room, and then it leaks over to the field as well, and that's tough to come back from.
No, and then you have, I guess, option 3, where you have faith in the system, you have faith in the coach, and the mistakes seem to just continue to happen, and it's almost like you can't get out of your own way, even if you have all of this internal faith about what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure. And, when you get in a rut, it just seems like every mistake is punished. Whereas like if things are going well, you make mistakes and it doesn't turn into a goal, and then they're forgotten about. So that's tough.
I think that's probably the best way to describe it.
Yeah. And when you're in that moment, it's like, in one sense, you need to just focus on yourself and like, hey, how do I get myself in the best preparation for the next game, while also, focusing on the team. I'm not saying it on your own, like you don't give a damn about anything else that's going on, but okay, let me worry less about how Johnny's doing over here, and let me worry about myself and my own performance and how I'm doing and how I'm preparing and what I need to do to get myself ready. Because if everyone's doing that, then maybe the whole group can be in a better place.
When it comes to young adults, young athletes, in your experience, I guess, pre-mentor and now as a mentor, have you seen them handle it differently? Because I mean, I imagine that when I was a young kid back in the days of black and white television and movable type and the horse-drawn carriage, that I was told to handle adversity differently. The whole rub some dirt on it, and the whole rub some dirt on it idea. Just shake it off and get back out there, and you get kicked in the ass and you go. And I would imagine in some circles, probably generationally, you had different exposures to handle it differently than what I was exposed to. Now you as a mentor, I would imagine, is it different than how I would have handled it, how you were presented to handle it? Is it different now in trying to deal with adversity to where it doesn't turn into quicksand with younger athletes today?
A little bit.
Okay.
I think that kids have always given each other a hard time, but I think that one of the challenges that some players, especially higher level players, are facing is sometimes you're training with a different team, or you're playing up and you don't know everybody, or there's just not that continuity of, I grew up with the same group of guys and we played together for 8 years together, minus plus or minus one or two guys. But it was basically the same group. And it's so different today, so much movement. And I think that makes it a little bit more challenging because you don't feel as comfortable sometimes. And there's new faces and you're trying to impress, and, it just turns into cliques within teams and stuff. And then obviously social media as well makes it more challenging. But in general terms, I think, younger players take it harder initially, but then get over it a little bit faster.
I would, back in my day, I mean, it just got to the point to where if we got the same advice hammered at us and hammered at us and hammered at us, and we didn't accept it, it's just like, man, I'm tired of hearing the same things. I'm going to tune you out. And I think that's I think a universal danger where you have all of these adults that are coming down on young kids and young student athletes and what have you. If they keep hearing the same thing and the same thing and the same thing, there's that danger that they're going to tune it out. Totally. and completely and totally just, it's like, look, I'm tired. I'm sick of hearing it. I'm tired of hearing it. I'm just going to go over here and either not do anything or just leave, period. And I mean, and that's a part of this balance. I would think that's dangerous too, where you don't want to sound like you're hounding them and they can take it one way when it's really not.
Definitely. Because no matter how good the lesson is that you're trying to teach a kid or a student or an athlete, if it's not being received, it doesn't matter. Right. And so, that receiving part is so challenging, right? It's how do you deliver it? Because, you can always pin it on the kid for not listening or whatever. But, if it's a reoccurring thing, then, like Alex over there, maybe you need to look in the mirror. I'm not saying Alex does. I'd blame the goalkeeper always, for sure.
Yes.
But as far as delivering the message, maybe it's the messenger, right? And how you're delivering that message that needs to change.
Oh, nothing like adult leagues to sit there and remind you. It's like, man, I don't know what the problem is. this universality of what's going on. It's like, man, I don't get it.
Yeah, you need new shoes, probably.
There you go. It's obviously it's the shoes money.
It's not my golf game. It's the clubs that I have.
It's got to be the clubs, and it's got to be the shoes. Halftime with Michael Parkhurst at MF Parkhurst on the 280 character app from our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring, at BG Mentoring on the Twitters. See, I can't say X because it's like I'm Xing somebody out. I'm Xing somebody. That just sounds bad. It's like, yeah, I'm Xing somebody on social media. That doesn't sound good. And I wanted to talk about adversity today to start things off. When it comes to you and Greg and dealing with these situations where you have these promising athletes or these promising individuals, whether they want to be pro athletes or if they want to do something else that's attached to the sport as they grow, we can see it through emotions and facial expressions and stuff that something's weighing on them. How easy is it for you and for Greg to break through that wall at times and get to the crux of an issue? Or do young student athletes today sit there and they don't want to talk? I mean, how do you break through that idea of, something's wrong, you can't quite put your finger on it, they may not want to be open and honest from the beginning? How do you break through that wall to sit there and remind them, hey, I'm here to help you?
Yeah, and I think that my wife's been trying to break through that wall for the 20 years that we've been together.
15 with me and the boss, brother. I'm right there with
you. I think that's why we try and have relationships with these kids, not just, show up once a year and, get paid and try and give them a lesson, right? It's like, no, that's not what a mentor is. And so we try and have these relationships where we try and tell them we're on their side and not a coach, not a parent, just want the best for them and however we can deliver that. And for some it's quick and for some it takes a lot of time. And, but that's the benefit of, us doing these packages and, over time creating these relationships, because, like with everything, they become more comfortable and share things. And especially when they realize, hey, we're a sounding board and here to help, versus, give you a lecture and, like mom and dad, or, sit you down like a coach type thing. So yeah, it's a challenge though. But it's a fun challenge sometimes.
What makes it fun?
Just being able to see someone open up a little bit, right? Because even myself, right? It was like similar to what you're saying. I was like, I can deal with it myself. I'll figure it out. I can get over it. Like, it's my problem.
It's a sign of weakness if you go outside yourself.
Yeah, and so and I've learned over time. I've gotten better, for sure. My wife's been a big part of that, but I think that it definitely helps, to just be able to spitball things and talk to somebody. And so it's nice to be able to, crack those codes sometimes and figure out how to connect with a kid who doesn't want to open up at first, or, doesn't feel comfortable, or doesn't see the benefit type thing.
When was the last time that you got to crack that code, and what was the trigger that helped it get cracked, I guess, is probably the best way to phrase it.
Yeah, I worked with a young mentee probably 2 weeks ago ish now, who, was getting ready for, a big tournament. It was a showcase, or I can't remember what it was, but, they they were struggling with, the pressure and the anxiety leading up to it, and finally had, told me that, they were super nervous, and, just really wanted to do well. They weren't sure they were going to do well, type thing. And so we ended up having a great conversation, and, talking about it, and just helping them understand that we all feel that, and that's completely normal. I think that there's a false sense that, being nervous and anxious about something is always a bad thing, and that, the best don't feel that way, and it's just not true. And so, helping them understand that they're not alone, and that we all feel that way, and you can still be like that and be confident. So it was a good conversation,
because you can channel that energy and funnel it in a direction that you might not have anticipated was a direction you could take it. Because, if you have this nervous energy, you have this anxiety or what have you, if you can figure out how to channel it and help it push you through whatever that issue is, I would think that that's part of it also, where instead of having it weigh on you, you use it as almost like a fulcrum, where you sit there and it's like, okay, instead of it weighing on me, I'm going to have it go outward and help it be the energy that I need to achieve whatever goal it is that I've got in mind.
yeah, exactly. We want to use that energy from, the neck down, basically, right? We want to stay, nice and free in the brain and calm in the brain. But yeah, you can use that energy, to go out there and run all day and be excited about it, and, have that energy out on the field. But, yeah, just reversing the psychology of it, and, understanding that we can still be confident even though we're nervous. Confidence isn't lacking fear, right? It's just that ability to deal with it when the time's, necessary.
When you were starting out as an athlete, who was the first person that reminded you that you could reverse that energy?
I don't know. I never really talked about it. I think it's something I just developed over time, like just realizing like I'm nervous before games, and, some games I'm more nervous, and but looking back thinking, well, even though I was nervous leading up to it, I still played really well. So, I'm doing something right, or it's fine, or whatever. But I never really talked to anybody about being nervous, or, the pros or cons of it, or anything. I guess
So
it was just self talk.
yeah, so when you self regulated when you were younger, who were those folks that you got to use as soundboards to help you channel things from the neck up to the neck down as you went into college and professional elements and things like that? Who are those folks that helped you separate things and have it go outbound?
Yeah,
Or were you still the same kind of guy that did it yourself?
mostly. I mostly was, because even in high school, I was down at IMG, so away from family, and lived with a good buddy of mine, but we didn't have those types of conversations. So yeah, just mostly myself. In high school, we did work with a sports psychologist who was really good. I really enjoyed and learned a lot from him. So definitely some of those conversations helped. Even in a group setting. So I think that was probably the first time where I started thinking about the mental side of the game without actually analyzing it.
If the mentor Michael Parkhurst had a session with the athlete Michael Parkhurst, when would you have wanted to have that first session with you as a mentee talking to you as an athlete?
Yeah, probably. Gosh, I don't know, probably 11 or 12, just because even at that point, I was going to ID camps and, trying out for regional teams and staying at colleges and in the summer to go to these camps for weeks at a time. And, just understanding that process a little bit, what this entails and what can come out of it, whether you make it or you don't make it. I think probably would have been good conversations for myself and everybody to have with somebody.
So then let me ask you this. We'll take it one step further. If Michael Parkhurst mentor had a conversation with Greg Garza mentee, what do you think the conversations would have been like?
Greg Garza as a young
or,
Greg,
or as teammate, or if teammate age, if you were you now and got to have a conversation with Greg about mentoring and about channeling energy and things like that, when do you think, if you had that first conversation, what do you think it would be like with you as a mentor and Greg as a mentee?
and Greg's already a professional.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I'll ask him the same question next time he's on, just so in the interest of fairness.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think everything's so individualized. So understanding where he is, and for Greg, probably a lot of it was coming back from injuries, and how do you deal with that, and will you be the same player, and how do you get back to that level? Understanding your role within the team. Greg already did that really, really well. But those would be the things that probably I would assume that we would focus on first. Because that was the biggest, thing that he had to go through in his career, I think, was these injuries that kept derailing things.
You ain't kidding, brother.
I mean, his story of resiliency, as far as before he went to Mexico, of trying to find a team, it's pretty crazy. He went through a lot, and I'm sure that was very difficult. So I wish he had a mentor, or maybe he did at that point, to help him. But he came out of it stronger, and it worked out really well for him. So I think that's probably why he's so good at what he does.
When it comes to, and now I've got just like random things popping into my head now. This morning in England, and this is soccer based, the English FA is phasing in a ban of deliberate heading in youth football. U7 to U9 level from the 24-25 season, the U10 level from 25-26, and the U11 level from 26-27. Phasing in a ban of deliberate heading in youth football. When you were 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, how were you taught about heading, and what do you think about something where you're phasing out a phase of the game to where you have to focus on using your feet And because last time I checked, it's referred to as football, not head ball. But what do you think about something like this?
Yeah, I think there's people a lot smarter than me that are saying, hey, this is of benefit to these kids that are going to grow up, and most of them aren't going to play soccer professionally and end up making money from it. So why should we put them in a position to have potentially long-term issues from heading a soccer ball?
Mm-hmm.
So I think for me, it makes sense. It's not a big part of the game, especially when you're young.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big part of the game when you're a professional, don't get me wrong, but it's not a big part of the game when you're young. It's not that important, I don't think. So I'm all for it. I don't remember anybody teaching me how to head a ball. Maybe that's why I was so bad at heading a ball, John. I probably headed the ball the least amount of any center back in MLS history that played over 100 games or something.
Well, what's it like? Because I mean, a ball rocketed off a foot at the professional level, you're talking about something that's probably 25, 30 miles an hour coming off of a foot. If it's a volley hit square, I mean, it's
coming faster than that.
Okay. So if something is coming at you faster than that and you don't hit it on the center of your forehead, it ends up coming off the top of your head. How can you explain how much that hurts?
Yeah, and that's probably why I never really tried to block many shots with my head, John. I'm always amazed when I see these guys that stand there as someone's about to shoot at like the 18-yard box, and they're at like the penalty spot or the 6, and they're waiting to see if they can head this ball. And I'm like, these guys are crazy. Like, good for them because they're giving it everything, but I'm like, I don't think that was me, because I specifically remember till this day taking a ball like off the top of my head. I think somebody shot it. I think I was probably trying to get out of the way, John. I don't think I was trying to be brave and use my head to block the ball. I think I was like trying to get out of the way. It hit me square on the top of the head, and I just felt pins and needles go through my whole body. And this was pre-concussion, so who knows what the heck happened back there. But yeah, so no.
Yeah, no.
I didn't hit many soccer balls in my career, John. I won't really be teaching anybody how to head a soccer ball. You can find better advice than from me.
Let's wrap up with the question from Emilio. I know that you can look at the Twitch pitch and see it, but somewhat alluding to the current state of affairs. Can you not be receiving the message through no fault of anyone, but still be in support of the messenger?
Yeah, I think so. I think that you can still like a coach or a teacher or something because they're a good human being, and that they want well for you. But at the same time, you're not understanding what they want from you, or what the issue is, or the lesson that they're trying to teach you. It's not getting through. And I think that, if it's a good relationship, you're able to tell that person, hey, I don't understand, or we need more here. And that's where assistant coaches come in really handy, right? To try and change the message a little bit and put it to the individual level, because even at the pro level, like, you still need to talk to guys differently, deliver the same message differently to different guys so that they can, resonate with them. So I do think so.
All right. Before we go, we have to address the mogul in training and find out what's going on up there at Rhode Island. You got a good point the other day against Sacramento Republic. I know that you're being driven crazy because of a ball that was hit over the bar from short distance late in the match. And I know that 3 points were there, but you ended up with a solid point against Sacramento Republic. As we talked about missed opportunities and being clinical in the final third, and especially being clinical inside the 18. Sir, 1 point out of a playoff spot, but I know that you leave 2 points on the table.
Yeah, it was the best game we've played all year. Sacramento are the best team in USL right now. They're undefeated, and we took it to them. We should have been up 3-4-1 in the second half, missed big chances. Mm-hmm. And, of course, you give a good team a chance late in the game on a free kick, and they're going to bury you. And they did. And we tied 2-2 and absolutely should have won that game. But Good point, because we played really well against the top team.
Right there. Right there. There's this. There it is. There's the Rhode Island FC scarf.
We play tonight, actually, Friday Night Lights out in Colorado. So,
oh well, I mean, Colorado Springs lost in NYCFC 2 at the top of the parking deck at St. John's in Open Cup. So they have not really been impressing a whole lot of folks, even though they have been hot recently, winning 3 in a row. They started out losing 5 of their first 6. So, so are you flying out to Colorado Springs the second this is over?
I am not.
You're not taking the Rhode Island FC corporate jet out to Colorado Springs after your round of golf?
I wish such a thing existed, but nope. I'll watch it on TV tonight, and then I'm up at 6 a.m. tomorrow for youth baseball and softball tournaments, John. Living the good life.
Oh, man. Well, but we've got to root for Mother Nature to help you out, to make sure that you can get your round of 32 in, to where you can advance in this tournament in the second round. As always, my friend, it's great to see you. Great to catch up with you on a bunch of different things. And if I don't say it enough, thank you for being as open and as honest with your candor about what it's like growing as a mentor and using all of these different examples and everything as a part of the process. So no, I can't thank you enough for doing all this stuff.
Of course. Anytime, John. Hope everybody has a great weekend.
Yep. They got to stare at Nashville on that road trip there. Go get your golf, and we'll see you soon.
See you.